Members, it's time, and we have a quorum. Item 1 on the agenda, confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of November 2015. This is the fourth meeting. The minutes have been forwarded to members. We have not received any proposals for amendments. Can we confirm the minutes, please? Thank you. Matters rising. The Chief Secretary for Administration will attend a special meeting of the House Committee on the 4th of December to report to members on the implementation of the population policy. In early January, she will attend another special meeting of the House Committee to answer members' questions on the public consultation on retirement protection policy soon to be held. The date will be informed to members once it's set. Any questions? No? The business arising from previous council meetings. Legal Service Division reports and bills referred to the House Committee in accordance with Rule 54.4. Legal Advisor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's one bill. There's the Patents Amendment Bill 2015. The LSD report is paper LS5 stroke 15 to 16. This bill is to provide for a new system for original grant of standard patents, so applicants could put in an application in Hong Kong without having to go to designated patent authorities in other places outside Hong Kong. There are other amendments to enhance the current short-term patent system. There is actually significant changes proposed in the bill to the current patent system, so we propose to members to set up Bills Committee to study in detail. Thank you. Mr. Wong Quang proposes a Bills Committee. Who would like to join, please? Thank you. Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on the 6th of November and tabled in Council on the 11th of November. The Legal Advisor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's paper number LS 815 to 16. There are two items of subsidiary legislation. The first one is the Frontier Amendment Order. This is about resetting the boundaries for the closed frontier area. The second item is the closed frontier area access permission notice. Please be quiet, members. The second item is also in light of the corresponding changes to the first order. The two LN will come into operation on the 4th of January 2016. Members, you wish to set up a subcommittee? No need. Further business for the council meeting of the 18th of November 2015. The meeting will start at 11 a.m. If the President believes that all business of the council is unlikely to be completed by 10 p.m., he will adjourn the meeting at 8 p.m. and resume it at 9 a.m. the following day on Thursday. Tabling of papers. Report number 4/15 to 16 of the House Committee on Consideration of Subsidiary Legislation and Other Instruments. There are 8 items of subsidiary legislation, and the deadline for amendment is 18th of November. No members have indicated a wish to speak on these items. Members' motion. Ms. Sitho will be moving a resolution to extend the scrutiny of the subsidiary legislation in relation to census and Mr. Kenneth Leung also moves extension resolution on the air pollution subsidiary legislation. Business for the council meeting of the 25th of November. Questions, 22 questions, 6 oral and 16 written. Bills first reading and moving of second reading. Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2015 and Deposit Protection Scheme Amendment Bill 2015. Members' motion, government motion, no notice has been received yet. Members' motions. Motion on expeditiously abolishing the primary free territory-wide system assessment to be moved by Mr. Albert Chen, and motion on developing the economy and improving people's livelihood to be moved by Mr. Chen Ken. There's a list of 13 items of subsidiary legislation. The deadline for amendment will be on the 25th of November at the Council meeting. Now, if members wish to speak on any of these items, please so indicate by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th of November. Position on reports of Bills Committee, Subcommittee's report of Bills Committee on Copyright Amendment Bill 2014. Mr. Chan Lam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Copyright Amendment Bill 2014, to be called 2014 Bill in short, combines original proposals contained in the Copyright Amendment Bill 2011 with CSAs proposed by the administration and agreed by the relevant Bills Committee, as well as new legislative proposals for the treatment of parody and related matters. The purpose of the 2014 bill is to amend the Copyright Ordinance to provide for the rights to communicate a work or performance to the public by a copyright owner or performer, for limiting an online service provider's liability for acts that may be done without infringing copyright or performance rights, and for additional factors in considering whether additional damages should be awarded by the court in an action for infringement. The Bills Committee held 24 meetings. We received comments from the stakeholders, including copyright owners and users. The details of our deliberation are set out in the written report. I will now highlight the main points discussed by the Bills Committee. Members of the Bills Committee, individuals and deputations, have very diverse views on the scope of the proposed exceptions, but there is a general consensus to strike a reasonable balance between protecting the legitimate interests of the copyright owners and other public interests. During the deliberation, members raised a number of concerns, namely the communication right, criminal liability for copyright infringement, copyright exceptions, including the adoption of the fair dealing or fair use model, provisions of safe harbor for OSPs, derogatory treatment, civil liabilities, the long title of the bill, as well as certain drafting issues. The administration has already responded positively to the views, and some suggestions have been taken on board. Relevant CSAs will be moved. In addition, in the capacity as the chairman of this Bills Committee, I'm going to move 3 amendments on behalf of the Bills Committee, namely the contract override provision, user-generated content, and fair use model. Mr. Raymond Wong has also indicated his wish to move amendments to the bill. The Bills Committee supports the resumption of the second reading debate of the bill at the LegCo meeting on the 25th of November 2015. Thank you.
If I may remind members, if you wish to move amendments to the bill, the deadline for giving notice is the 16th of November. Report of the Subcommittee on Trainee Solicitors Amendment Rules 2015, Mr. Dennis Kwok.
He has completed scrutiny of the Trainee Solicitors Amendment Rules 2015. Details of the subcommittee's deliberations have been set out in the report issued to members. The subcommittee has no objection to the Law Society of Hong Kong's proposed amendment to the Trainee Solicitors Rules to add Chinese University of Hong Kong as one of the recognized institutions by which a certificate or notification issued in respect of the examination results shall be sufficient evidence of a person's satisfactory completion of the postgraduate certificate in laws. The subcommittee has taken note of the explanation given by the Law Society on why the proposed amendment had not been introduced at an earlier date, as well as the legal basis for the Law Society to register the trainee solicitor contracts of the PCLL graduates of CUHK since 2009. The subcommittee will not propose any amendment to the amendment rules. Subject to negative vetting, they will come into operation on a day to be appointed by the President of the Law Society by notice published in the Gazette. Thank you.
我提醒同事上述嘅規則作出修訂嘅期限。
If I may remind members, the deadline for giving notice to make amendments would be the the deadline for making amendments is the 2nd of December. Deadline for giving notice is the 25th of November. Next, report of Subcommittee on Declaration of Geographical Constituencies, Legislative Council Order 2015. Mr. Chairman, the order states that for the 2016 Legislative Council election, the boundaries and names of the 5 geographical constituencies will be maintained and also it stipulates a number of seats for each constituency. Compared to the number of seats for the 2012 electoral elections, Kowloon East will have one more seat, Hong Kong Island one less, and for Kowloon East, Kowloon West, and as New Territory West and New Territory East, the number of seats will remain the same. Members were primarily concerned about the substantial difference in the range of deviation between the resulting number of New Territories West and the population and that of Kowloon West. A member has asked the administration to review the relevant statutory requirements under the Legislative Council ordinance as early as possible in the light of the trend of population changes. Example, to consider if the existing number of constituencies and the maximum number of members to be returned for each geographical constituencies could be just the subcommittee has completed its work. The subcommittee and the administration will not be moving any amendments. The details of our deliberations are in the report. Members, please note. If I may remind members, the deadline for making amendments to the order is the council meeting on the 25th of November. The deadline for giving notice of amendment is the 18th of November. Position on bills, committees and subcommittees. As at the 12th of November, there are 11 bills committee in action, 14 subcommittees under the House Committee, and 7 subcommittees on policy issues under panels in action. On the waiting list, there are 5 subcommittees. Paper of the Committee on Rules of Procedure. Proposed amendments to the handbook for chairman of panels, handbook for chairman of bills committees, and handbook for chairman of subcommittees on subsidiary legislation or other instruments. I invite the chairman of the CROP, Mr. Tam, to speak. Mr. Chairman, the Committee on Rules of Procedure proposes to the subcommittee to endorse the proposed amendments to the handbook for chairman of panels, handbook for chairman of bills committees, and handbook for chairman of subcommittees on subsidiary legislation or other instruments, so as to provide clearer guidelines to committee chairmen. First of all, CROP notices that under Rule 22P of the existing House rule, there is a stipulation that motions may be moved by members during panel meeting, but the rule does not state clearly whether amendments may be moved during the period of extension of the meeting. To allow members more flexibility in dealing with motions, the CROP believes that members of panels and committees should be allowed to move amendments to motions during the period of extension, and the arrangement should be written into the handbook for chairman. And also the CROP proposes that it should be stated in the handbook that members should rely on their own judgment, and they also have the responsibility to disclose whether there is any direct or indirect pecuniary interest on a matter being considered. The CROP also notices that in relation to the arrangement of public hearing, individuals may make an oral representation to the committee in his personal capacity or as a representative of a group or organization. Registered members of the public may make oral representation once, but some chairman may, having consideration of circumstances, allow members of the public to make oral rotation more than once to ensure there is consistency in the handling of such cases by different committees. The CROP suggests that when during a public hearing on a subject, every member of the public, whether he speaks in his personal capacity or as a representative of a group or representation, may only make one representation. But chairman of committee should have the discretion to handle special requests flexibly. The CROP has proposed amendments to these 3 areas. These are now detailed in the report. We invite the House Committee to endorse the proposed amendments in Appendixes 1, 2, and 3 to this paper. Thank you. Members, questions, please. Members, can we endorse the proposed amendments in Appendixes 1, 2, and 3? That is proposed amendments to the handbook for chairman of panels, handbook for chairman of bills committees, and handbook for chairman of subcommittees on subsidiary legislation or other instruments. Members agreed? Okay. Any other business? Nothing under that. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.